He doesn't talk much these days, not like he used to. Back then his words came fast. Opinions, fire, unfinished thoughts. He couldn't wait to finish. Now, he takes his time. He listens more. And when he does speak, there's a calm that never used to be there. We used to be close. I knew his silence when it meant pain. But this silence, it's not heavy. It's not hiding. It's peace. Some people say he's pulled away, that he's lonely, but they don't see what I see. This isn't a man who's lost something. This is a man who's finally found what he never had. He doesn't rush anymore. There was a time he moved like time was running out. He rushed through conversations, through relationships, through Sunday afternoons like he owed the world more than he had. But now he moves slowly, deliberately. I saw him last week, sitting on a bench with a coffee, not scrolling, not talking, not fidgeting, just watching the trees. 10 years ago, he would have checked his phone 6 times. Now, he lets the world come to him. There's no urgency in his walk, no restlessness in his eyes, and when someone asks him something, he waits a beat. Then answers like a man who knows silence won't kill the moment it might even deepen it. He's not trying to be efficient anymore. He's trying to be present. And that's something I don't think he ever truly knew how to be before. He chooses solitude not to escape, but to return to himself. He used to hate being alone, filled every night with someone, or something, noise, movement, attention. But now, he chooses it calmly, without apology. There's a room in his house he calls the quiet room. It's not for guests. It's not even that decorated. Just a chair, a lamp, and a small shelf of books that look worn in all the right places. He told me once, years ago, that silence scared him, said it made him feel forgotten. Now I think it's the only place he feels seen. Solitude, for him, used to be a punishment. Now it's a reset, a space where no one asks anything of him, not even himself. He's not hiding. He's not running. He's resting in his own presence. And somehow, that makes him more magnetic than any man chasing a crowd. He smiles at things no one else notices. I saw him the other day at the market. He was looking at oranges, turning them in his hand like he was picking out a diamond. And then he smiled. Not at anyone, just to himself, like he remembered something, or like the sunlight hit just right. He didn't look around to see if anyone noticed. He didn't explain it. That's how I knew it was real. The old him needed a witness. Validation. He told loud jokes, made grand gestures, always reached for moments that would impress. Now, his joy is quiet, unshared, but full. It's in the smell of bread, the way a stranger holds the door. A memory sparked by a song in aisle 4. He's not waiting for big moments to feel alive anymore. He's finding life in the small ones. And honestly, that smile, the one no one else saw, was the most peaceful thing I've witnessed in years. He doesn't explain himself anymore. There was a time he'd over-explain everything. Why he didn't call back. Why he needed space. Why he wasn't ready. Why he said what he said even when no one asked him to. Like he was afraid of being misunderstood. Or worse, judged. Now, he lets the silence speak for him. It's not arrogance. It's clarity. If he cancels plans, he doesn't launch into 3 paragraphs of apology. He simply says, "Can't, today," and means it. He's not cold. He just doesn't feel the need to defend every choice, every no, every pause. Because when you know who you are, and what brings you peace, you stop offering your life up for debate. And watching him now, I realize how heavy those old explanations were. How much of himself he used to give away, just trying to be understood. These days, he doesn't beg to be seen. He lives like someone who knows. Peace doesn't need permission. He keeps his circle small. He used to be everywhere. Parties, trips, group chats that never stopped buzzing. I remember weekends when his phone wouldn't stop vibrating, always someone needing him, inviting him, pulling him in. Now, he disappears sometimes. Not in a dramatic way. In a quiet, chosen way. His phone still rings. But I've seen him let it. Not out of rudeness, but because he's no longer afraid to miss out. His circle now? It's 3, maybe 4 people. People who don't exhaust him. People who don't ask him to perform. And when I see him with them, the way he laughs, the way he listens, it's different. He's not proving anything. He's not managing anyone's emotions. He's just present. He used to think connection meant quantity. Now he knows. Real peace only needs a few chairs at the table. He's kind without trying. Back then, kindness was effort for him. He'd plan gestures, compliment often, show up big when it mattered. But it always felt like work. Now, it's quieter, softer, and somehow more powerful. He doesn't flatter. He affirms. He doesn't rush to help everyone, but when he shows up, he's all there. I once watched him help an older man carry groceries to his car. No fanfare, no small talk, just a nod, a quiet, "Let me get that," and a steady walk to the trunk. And when the man said thank you, he didn't say, no problem. He just smiled, the kind of smile that says, of course, you're human, that's enough. He's not kind because he wants to be seen that way. He's kind because he has the energy now, the space, the grounding, to offer calm without draining himself. And that, more than anything, tells me he's not searching anymore. He's arrived. He sleeps better. He used to be the kind of man who answered texts at 2 a.m., emails, voicemails, thoughts that wouldn't let go. Sleep, for him, was always a negotiation. I remember he once told me, I'm tired, but I can't rest. My head won't let me. That was back when he was chasing everything: approval, success, closure. Rest felt like falling behind. But now he sleeps. He's in bed before midnight, phone turned face down, curtains drawn, fan humming softly. And when he wakes up, he's not groggy. He's still. Like his body isn't just rested, his soul is, too. You can tell a lot about someone by the way they sleep. The old him fought it. This version? He welcomes it. Because peace isn't loud. It doesn't demand attention. It just lets you lay down and not carry the world into your dreams. He doesn't react like he used to. There was a time when he was quick to snap, defensive, witty, always ready with a sharp line or a stronger argument. Conflict used to light him up, not because he enjoyed it, but because he was always ready to prove something. Now, he pauses, lets the moment settle. If someone raises their voice, he lowers his. If something feels unfair, he waits before responding. Not out of weakness, but from strength. It's like he's no longer addicted to being right. He's addicted to being well. And I've watched him let go of things. Comments that would have stung before. Invitations to explain or defend himself. He doesn't take the bait anymore. He's not interested in drama that drains. And honestly, it's not just maturity, it's peace. He's traded sharpness for softness. And somehow, that made him more powerful than he's ever been. He keeps things uncomplicated. Once upon a time, everything in his life had layers. Messy friendships, half-spoken feelings, long conversations that went in circles. He made things harder than they needed to be, maybe because he thought complexity meant depth. But now, he chooses simple. He answers directly, shows up when he says he will, says no without guilt, and yes without conditions. His home is uncluttered, not minimalist, just intentional. His calendar isn't full, but everything on it matters. He's not simplifying out of detachment. He's simplifying because he's clear. Peace doesn't live in chaos. There's beauty in his life now that wasn't there before. Not because he added more, but because he removed what made him doubt, rush, explain, or chase. And when I see him like that, steady, light, deliberate, I don't think lonely. I think he's finally breathing at his own rhythm. He no longer fears being misunderstood. He used to work so hard to be understood. Every text, every pause, every vague expression, he'd explain it, soften it, circle back to make sure no one got the wrong idea. He hated being misread, because deep down, he equated misunderstanding with rejection, and rejection with not being good enough. But something changed. Now, if someone misinterprets him, he lets them. He doesn't chase clarity anymore, not unless it really matters, not unless it's someone who's earned the truth behind his quiet. Because peace taught him something that pride never could. Not everyone deserves full access to your mind. Sometimes he says less and trusts that the right people will understand anyway. And if they don't, it doesn't lose sleep. It's not that he stopped caring, he just stopped offering up his peace to buy someone else's approval. He used to need to be known. Now, he's okay with being whole even if not everyone gets the full picture. He enjoys being boring. He used to fill his schedule with noise. Every weekend packed, every night buzzing with something: music, people, movement. He once told me, I'm scared to stop. What happens if I sit still? Now he spends Friday nights folding laundry while jazz hums in the background. He buys the same groceries, takes the same walk, eats dinner alone, at the same time, with the same plate, and he smiles while doing it. He's not trying to impress anyone. He's not proving he's still got it. He's just content. People might look at his life and call it boring, but what they don't see is how much it cost him to earn that calm. How much chaos he had to outgrow to fall in love with his own rhythm. He used to live for adrenaline. Now he lives for ease. And in a world that constantly screams more, he found power in enough. Head doesn't reach out anymore. This one hurt to realize, because I used to be the one he called at 1 a.m., when he couldn't sleep, when the silence got too loud, when he needed to hear a voice that knew the older versions of him. But lately, he doesn't reach out. Birthdays pass quietly. Texts stay unread longer. Conversations feel less frequent and more deliberate. At first I took it personally. I thought maybe I did something wrong. But then I watched him, from a distance, and understood. He hasn't pulled away from people. He's just pulled inward, not out of anger, not out of pride, but because he no longer seeks to be filled by others. He's full in a quiet, unshakable kind of way. He's not punishing anyone. He's just done depending on reactions to feel okay. And if you've ever been the kind of man who reached for a lifeline in every silence, then you know how much strength it takes to stop. Head doesn't chase closure anymore. He used to be the kind of man who needed answers. Who needed to know why things ended, why someone stopped calling, why she chose someone else instead. He wanted to understand, to make sense of it, to find a line, a reason, a story that could explain the cracks. I remember nights we sat in his car replaying texts, rereading tone, dissecting silences like they held clues to his own worth. But now he lets it go, not out of indifference but out of grace. He no longer sends that last message, no longer needs the apology that never came, no longer tries to explain himself to someone who's already gone. He understands that some doors stay open just to haunt you, and the real peace comes not from closing them, but from walking away anyway. Closure used to be his medicine. Now, stillness is. He doesn't need the ending tied up, because he's ended it, inside himself. And that, more than anything, tells me he's not waiting for peace to find him. He's built it in the quiet, in the loss, in the letting go. I don't know if he knows I still think of him, still wonder how his mornings begin, still remember the man who once filled every room he entered, and now fills the space around him without making a sound. We haven't spoken in a while, and maybe we won't again. But if I could say just one thing, it'd be this. You didn't disappear. You didn't give up. You just outgrew the noise. And I see it now, that peace isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself. It just shows up, in the quiet habits, the new softness, the way you finally learn to be home in your own breath. So if you, the one watching, see yourself in him, or wish you did, tell me, what's one small sign you're finally at peace too? Not perfect, not fixed, just softer. Drop a line in the comments. Sometimes, your quiet story helps someone else find their own.